One more thing about SpaceX that I wanted to talk about. This just kind of blew my mind, honestly. We're getting more pictures from, of course, we're getting more pictures from Boca Chica Gal, from Mary down there with NASA spaceflight. She posted some pictures, but there's two things that blew my mind. Just looking through her thread, you can see what these are. And also South Padre Island, my friends Gene and Rachel have been posting some more things too. What's crazy though is we're seeing Starship get built, and go down a little bit more. This is kind of the thing that blew my mind. I know that they've been building a new building, and it's kind of their new vehicle assembly building. But go down a little more, we'll see just how big this new building is. One more, I think, because it just keeps going. It just keeps getting taller and taller. Where is that? Maybe it's near the top. I don't know. But anyway, there it is right there. So I thought for sure like 4 segments. There's a picture here. It's a video of cranes building this new vehicle assembly building. And it's very much a vertical assembly building. And at one point it was only 2 sections. All of a sudden, overnight, it became 4 sections. Now they're adding a 5th section. People are starting to go, they could actually build super heavy in here. Maybe. Or it's getting up to that height where they could build the whole super heavy booster. Or that they're perhaps...
Why would they build it vertically, though? Is that easier, or...?
I think for the way they're doing these welds and those rings, it makes sense to stack them vertically. And yeah, it's hard to say how they'll actually get it from there out to the pad.
Yeah, because you'd have to like lay it down, right? And then
or do like a crawler. Maybe they'll buy one of the crawlers from NASA. You know, that'd actually be pretty
like
cool
the
if they
space
bought
shuttle
that old
one.
Yeah, Space Shuttle and Saturn V crawlers. Because I believe there's 2 or 3 out at NASA, and they've been upgraded and retrofitted. But it'd be awesome. Well, maybe SpaceX would just make something out of Tesla parts. Let's be honest. You know, it'd be 4 Model X's or 4 Cybertrucks.
Yeah, pushing and pulling.
Yep, exactly. But it just keeps coming together, and I just wanted to give a quick little update here since this is moving so fast. That the ring sections, people are starting to piece it together. It's looking like this thing is just coming together so freaking quick. If you pull up, I didn't really mean to talk about this on the show, but I noticed Elon had responded to me really quick before the show. Pull up Elon's thing. So Dr. Robert Zubrin went out to Boca Chica, I guess, and had a conversation with Elon. And one of the takeaways that he talked about, I need to listen to the podcast because I just read a thing saying that one of the takeaways, he mentioned in there that you could return from low Earth orbit without a heat shield. And then, so I was like, that doesn't quite sound right. And I said, so I asked, is that it technically could, or that it will fly to Leo without a heat shield? And basically, Elon came back saying, unfortunately, Starship unlikely to survive Leo entirely intact without shielding on windward side, but none required on leeward side. Even windward shielding is very light. So that's we've been hearing that already. That's kind of been what he's been saying. So hearing from someone that had talked to him that said he wouldn't need any was a big shock and didn't sound right to me. So we're still likely, maybe for the 20-kilometer hop, we won't see any heat shielding yet. Just because why risk it, or why add all that for just the up and down?
What's the Carmeline? 100 kilometers, right?
100 kilometers, and even if you came suborbital from 100 kilometers, did 100 kilometer up and down.
You're not out of the atmosphere, technically.
The heating. Oh, you're way out of the atmosphere.
Oh, okay.
You're way out of the troposphere and the stratosphere, but the problem is you're just not going nearly fast enough to generate the same type of heat.
Got it. Right.
So even if it went straight up and straight back down and across the Carmeline,
you're just
the heating
in water. You just breached the surface and came back down. You didn't jump 50 feet out and gotcha.
Or it'd be like jumping up, like a 50 feet up and jumping straight back down, versus going 4,000 miles an hour on a boat and then jumping straight up 50 feet and jumping straight back down. It's the velocity is. They always say it's basically velocity cubed is how hot you get. So if you increase your entry by double times, it actually goes up 8 times for heating is how much. So when you start speeding things up, a lot of things change. So if you're hitting the atmosphere at, say, 1,000 kilometers versus 26,000 kilometers.
Did they drop the whole methane ventilation thing happening?
Transpirational cooling?
Yeah.
That has not come up in a long time. And I'll ask Elon about that. And
memory here. It's not completely gone.
That's good. Well, it's a cool thing. The transpirational cooling is a really cool thing, and I'd never really heard of anyone doing that recently. I mean, it was done on some old warheads, and it's done on like the leading edges of airplane wings sometimes to de-ice them. But yeah, I there was some talk at some point that they would maybe do that on some hot spots. I still wouldn't be surprised if they'd maybe do that in between like hinges, where you have these moving parts where a traditional heat shield would risk having, plasma enter into those hinges where they might not need to wick it away, because the whole thing you're basically creating a boundary layer when you bleed methane out. And just like have you ever seen those things where like you have a stove? It would
look like a giant fireball.
It would definitely look like a giant fireball. It's going to look like a giant fireball anyway. But have you ever seen like when you have a stove and like a droplet of water, and sometimes it'll stay entirely intact on top of like a hot surface?
It's just bouncing around, yeah.
Yeah, because there's this boundary layer there. It's the same type of thing with methane or with anything. With any cool liquid, you can create this boundary layer so the heat doesn't actually come in contact with the surface. It just creates this layer, and you just bleed it off. You just keep it flowing. And then it would probably not light until substantially later, actually.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't go kaboomy or ignite until well
you're just
after.
Going way too fast for that chemical reaction to occur at that
and
speed.
You're high enough that I don't know how much oxygen it would take to actually, because it is plasma hitting it. I don't know. I don't know much about that.
Yeah, the pressure of it, the atmosphere. It's a whole weird.
It's a whole weird thing.
I'm still blown away by the whole confusing thing how water kind of acts differently than other liquids when it freezes. It like expands and then contracts here at 1G or whatever atmosphere, however many bars we have here.
Yep, 1 bar.
And then, but on Mars, it has the triple point thing. Do you know about that?
Yeah, what is that again?
So the reason water boils and the reason the molecules act the way they do here is because of the atmosphere that we have, the pressure. So if you were to try to like say boil water on the top of Mount Everest or something, or somewhere where there's less atmosphere, the actual temperature it needs to get to boil is less because there's not as much pressure for that reaction to occur. So if you go to say Mars, it actually has what's known as a triple point, where it can be a solid, frozen, a liquid, and a gas at the exact same time because of the temperature and atmosphere, just how different it is than here on Earth. It's like it's a really weird mind thing that doesn't make sense, But like dry ice is an example where it's a solid, but it's also a gas.
Right.
It
doesn't go to liquid. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's like just kind of weird stuff that happens with different amounts of pressure and atmosphere and water specifically.
Crazy. And Greg Malia in our Discord says sublimation is the transition of substance directly from solid to gas phase without passing through the intermediate liquid phase.
Yeah, that's dry ice doing that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so anyways, it's just a weird thing. So that's, so obviously, getting back to the why, if it's coming down and methane's shooting off, what we're used to methane doing here would be different, not only because of not having oxygen or other gases to interact with, but also the pressure of not having an atmosphere or whatever would be different. Yep. So who knows what would happen?
That's so,
somebody knows.
All that stuff. It's crazy. So we'll see. I'll try to ping Elon more about transpirational cooling if it's dead or whatever, and we'll see if we can get an answer. But,
it would look cool.
I still think it'd look cool. I still think it'd look really cool. And he mentioned one point about it maybe being in hot spots, but I'm guessing they'll find out and just kind of figure out, once fly it, see where it's hot, see what almost fails, and beef those areas up as SpaceX or unbeef up parts, over beef it at first.
Right.
And then just start, thinning, and doing some other things to make it, as efficient as possible is kind of SpaceX's approach. Iterate. Iterative. Hey, thanks for checking us out, guys. I hope you enjoyed this clip from our podcast.
We do a weekly show here on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe to Our Ludicrous Future, where we discuss all the things that are going to make our future totally ludicrous.
You can join us here on YouTube or at any of your favorite podcast places. Plus, if you want to get some behind-the-scenes stuff and join a cool community, you can help support the channel at patreon.com. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.